Welcome to our comedy arena where no mother-in-law is safe from a good-natured roast. Strap in for a roller coaster ride of laughs as we dive into some of the funniest mother-in-law jokes out there. Whether you've got the best mother-in-law on the planet or one that inspires countless jokes, you're in the right place for some chuckles. So let's kick back, relax, and enjoy some hilarious insights into the world of in-laws. Remember, it's all in good fun.
My mother-in-law said to me,
"If you were my husband, I'd put poison in your coffee."
to which I replied, "If you were my wife, I'd drink it."
A man asks his wife.
What would you do if I won the lottery?
She replies,
I'd take half and leave you.
"Great." He says,
I won $12, here's $6, stay in touch. My mother-in-law hasn't spoken to me since. My mother-in-law and I were happy for 20 years. Then we met each other.
Why do they bury mothers-in-law 18 feet under? Because deep down, they really are good people. A guy goes on vacation in the Holy Land with his wife and mother-in-law. The mother-in-law dies unexpectedly. So the couple goes to an undertaker who explains that they can ship the body home for $5,000, or they can bury her right there in the Holy Land for just $150. After much discussion, the couple decides to have her shipped home. The undertaker is surprised and asks,
Why would you spend so much to ship her home when it would be wonderful to be buried here and you'd spend so much less?
The husband says,
A long time ago, a man died here, was buried here, and 3 days later he rose from the dead. I just can't take that chance.
Three sisters each get married in a short space of time, and the men's now mother-in-law decides to test all of them. She decides to take each of them on a walk separately along a cliff edge. The mother-in-law takes the first guy on a walk and pretends to trip and fall off the cliff into the ocean. Without hesitation, the man jumps in and saves her. The next day, he finds a brand new car in his driveway with a note saying,
"Thank you from your mother-in-law who loves you."
The next brother-in-law goes on the walk. The same incident happens. He jumps in and saves her, and the next day, he too finds a car in his driveway. The third brother-in-law goes on the walk. The mother-in-law pretends to trip and falls off the cliff. He looks over, shrugs, and goes back home. The next day, he finds a brand new car in his driveway with a note.
Thank you from your father-in-law.
A man's mother-in-law was visiting for a few weeks, and it was starting to feel a bit long. One evening, while watching a crime movie where the criminals made a quick getaway, the mother-in-law remarked,
"That getaway car driver was excellent. He should get an award."
The son-in-law replied,
Funny you should mention that. I've been thinking about hiring him for a day or two myself.
During a long drive, a man, his wife, and his mother-in-law were traveling across the country. After several hours on the road, the mother-in-law started complaining about everything from the speed they were going to the snacks they had packed. Trying to lighten the mood, the man turned to his mother-in-law and said,
You know, I've heard that this area is famous for its vengeful spirits.
Intrigued, she asked why he brought that up. He replied,
Well, I was hoping it might scare you into silence for the rest of the trip.
A family was cleaning out the attic when the son-in-law stumbled upon an old, dusty lamp. When he rubbed it, a genie appeared and offered to grant him one wish. The man thought for a moment and then said,
I wish for a road to be built from here to Hawaii, so I can drive there anytime I want.
The genie scoffed.
Do you know how difficult that would be, given the depth of the ocean and the distance involved? That's nearly impossible. Please ask for something else.
The man sighed and replied.
Okay, could you make it so that I finally get along with my mother-in-law?
The genie paused, then asked,
Would you like 2 lanes or 4 on that highway to Hawaii?
A husband enrolled himself and his mother-in-law in a cooking class, thinking it would be a fun way to bond. Halfway through the course, the instructor commented on the mother-in-law's unique approach to slicing onions, noting,
You have an interesting style, very creative.
The mother-in-law smiled proudly, and the husband quipped,
She's great at cutting remarks too, especially about my driving.
The mother-in-law, who fancied herself an art critic, was visiting her son-in-law's new house. She noticed a large, abstract painting he had recently acquired and couldn't help but express her disdain.
That's an interesting choice of art. It's so chaotic and muddled.
The son-in-law smiled and replied,
I thought it perfectly captured the essence of our conversations.
I haven't spoken to my mother-in-law for 18 months. I don't like to interrupt her. I asked my mother-in-law for her blessing to marry her daughter. She gave me a challenge instead. I told my mother-in-law that my house was her house, and she said,
Get off my property.
I bought my mother-in-law a chair for her birthday, but my wife wouldn't let me plug it in. When my mother-in-law comes to visit, the mice throw themselves on the traps. Thanks for joining us in this laughter-filled exploration of the most daring, delightful, and sometimes downright diabolical mother-in-law jokes. We hope you enjoyed these jests as much as we enjoyed sharing them. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more comedic gems. Drop your own mother-in-law jokes in the comments below. We can't wait to hear your zingers. Until next time, keep laughing and remember, it's all in good fun.